Hi guys, welcome back. So I know I stopped that other video really abruptly, but I'm not really into this whole production stuff. I just like real talk, stuff that's unscripted. So hey, sorry if it's not production quality. I'm just doing this for myself and just talking. But on this whole topic of feminism and bull crap like that. I guess I'm a TERF, and it's just really disheartening and really unsettling to see women actually bow down to men. I am not. I'm just not on board with that. I will not bow down to any man, and I've said this before, unless it's my husband. I do just believe that having men who've been men their whole entire lives, males their whole entire lives, and then all of a sudden say that they are women and we are just supposed to accept that. All women are supposed to just accept that. And if we don't, we are considered not feminists. I have a problem with that, especially when it's coming from women. We need to fix that. We need to change that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and watch this video. And then talk about it.
All right, guys. So once again, we got to react to another feminist versus anti-feminist debate that got very, very, very heated when it came to the topic of whether or not feminism includes trans women, which, in my opinion, is an extremely silly question. Okay, because I don't think that feminism can include men, right, or biological men. But hey, these are the topics of debate in 2023 because we're living for Cocoa Puff world. So I want to go ahead and react to this because Jubilee decided to, I guess, do this after another debate was done by, I think Vice did a debate, okay, with feminists versus anti-feminists. So, apparently this is, a huge kind of debate that's going on here. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Feminism that doesn't include trans women isn't feminism.
Again, such a silly question, but this is 2023. These are the debates that we're having.
You surprised to see me here?
No.
Okay, good. It's really important to include trans women and trans people and gender nonconforming people, which, by the way, I am gender queer myself. I don't actually identify as a woman. It's really important that those of us who do have privileges speak up for trans women in the community, especially because they're the most at risk for hate crimes.
I also want to just level.
Says who? Right? Says who? It seems to me everybody.
So you mean tell me a man who maybe trans woman who identifies as a trans woman, someone who can just say it without even getting surgery, someone who has a balls and chains, they're more at risk of getting attacked than, say, an actual female? Make that make sense to me.
Everybody's at risk for hate crimes. Okay, when did it become that trans people are the most targeted people in this country? Okay, because one day is blacks, right? Another day is Asians. Yep. Okay, another day is this group or that group. But it seems like every single time there's this conversation about trans people, there's always a deflection of criticism, and they always say, well, you can't really criticize them because they're the most victimized group in this country. And again, I need some facts and statistics to actually back this up.
Set and say that we are having this conversation without trans women, right? We are sitting here today having
Do we know that
conversation without
for sure?
Yeah, do we know that for sure? Right, I'm not sure. Okay, allegedly, all these women have vaginas. Okay, allegedly, we cannot jump to assumptions in 2023. Surgery can do wonders for some of these people.
I identify as
She's on a
trans.
she identifies as non-binary, and she's on a feminist panel.
My pronouns.
So maybe she doesn't belong here either. They don't belong here.
Plot twist, I am biologically female and I'll never deny that. I lived as a woman for most of my life. I am 31. I only came out couple of years ago. I spent a lot of time, the majority of my life in these spaces with women. That does give me a kind of unique perspective now being a trans non-binary person.
There's an issue with categorizing.
You mean having a mental disorder? So you can acknowledge and tell the world that you will never deny that you were a biological woman, which is what everyone has been on, the right, who keeps standing up, or just those even on the left who stand up to those who deny that, hey, there's no differences between, biological men or women. There is a biological difference between men or women, or else why would we even have men and women? Why would we have these classifications? You dumb fucks. So it's like you'll go up here and say that you're a biological woman, and knowing this, but still don't understand why biological women do not want to have biological men in their spaces who say that they are trans, but yet they don't have their shit cut off. They don't even want to be or look like females. They think that they should just have access to our spaces regardless. I don't fucking think so. If it's a man, it walks like a man. If it has a dick and balls like a man, it's a fucking man. It's not a transgender woman, nothing.
Womanhood as a means of female. Earlier, it was mentioned by somebody on the anti-trans side about trans women coming in and taking over sports and things like that, which is just not true.
That is true.
It's not.
It is. I can show you.
These women are so indoctrinated that they're willing to go against their own interests just to put biological weak men on a pedestal. That's how fucked up and delusional they are. They're willing to let weak men be over them and be in the same boat as them. I don't think so. That's how indoctrinated you are. But when you look at this other woman, and she's like the old school lesbian that I would be friends with. Those were the people I was friends with in Florida. They did not give a shit about who or what anyone thought about their actions, or that's what they did in their private, and they didn't care how you thought about it, okay? But now you are affecting her, and I can see it. She only likes women, and when you're allowing men who don't even have their shit cut off to come into women's spaces and then to classify themselves as women, it does directly attack her. It does directly affect lesbians, and I have a lot of lesbian friends who don't like it, and no one ever is out there speaking up for them. No one's ever standing up for them. This is where women's rights, in my opinion, have fallen off the fucking wagon. Where's women standing up for women? Not fucking men who want to pretend to be women or think that they are women. It's not to say that they can't. We're not accepting of them. We want you to be with us, okay? But we also want you to acknowledge there is a difference between men and women, and stop trying to take our rights. Stop trying to take over our rights, our spaces, our opportunities. Let's make opportunities for you. Let's get, more, awareness for your group of individuals, so you can have the same things as us. You want your sports, then hey, let's get more awareness for transgender athletes who want to be in sports. If there's enough people behind you, you will start having federations that, sport federations that are just for that. I mean, we have the same thing for paraplegics. You don't think we would do the same thing for transgenders to keep it all even, to make sure that everyone has opportunity? But that's what you don't want that. You don't want that, because then you will be considered, you'll still consider yourself as something different. You will never accept that, hey, we are all different, but we can still have the same opportunities, just in different categories. And that's the thing about this whole transgender thing that gets to me. I've been advocating for this for a very long time because I saw this coming, but every single time I mention, hey, maybe let's, start a little separate group. So, there's probably transgender athletes out there who do want to play sports. I was always shot down. No one wants to do that, Leah. That's probably not a thing. Really? Okay, look, here we are in 2022. It's obviously a thing now. So why don't we just go ahead and start doing this instead of trampling on other people's rights? Women have fought so hard for this, and these women here are just willing to fucking throw it away because they're so indoctrinated. They're so stupid. Like, these women are stupid.
I can show you
there
a
might be
number of
people that also
science-
haven't.
No, I can show you a number.
Trans women retain 30% of their biological advantage.
That is not
if they
true.
went through male puberty. Yes, it is.
That is
yes, it is.
That is not.
Let's not argue it. That's not even the.
I don't know. I can't remember her name. I think it's Ariana or Irana or something like that. But she has a YouTube channel, and I do like her content.
I'm not going to argue about that.
Because you're wrong.
If you are a trans woman and you walk out in the world and you are seen as a man, you do not belong in women's spaces.
Yes.
I don't care what anybody says. I think that's ridiculous, and I think even trans women that have gender dysphoria that go through transition will agree with me.
This makes me.
And that's the thing. See, these women don't care about the women that are actually transition. You don't care about their safety either. The whole reason why they decided to chop off their balls and dick is because they really do want to embody, that in which they're trying to be. They have this dysphoria and they are feeding into it, and they're acknowledging it, and they're willing to go and get their battle scars. And if a female is willing to do that shit, then hey, I have to protect them too. You obviously went through that crap, and now to have another man to have a man who says he's transgender and identifies that and still has his shit attached. I'm not only in danger, this other transgender woman who actually went through the shit, she's in danger too. But these motherfuckers, these dumb fucks, don't understand that other transgender woman is now at risk of possibly getting assaulted too. Because you're letting in anybody. There's no gatekeeping. You're letting in anybody simply because they say that they are a woman. And that's very dangerous. You want to know how other places... you want to know why men become so protective of women in those, I guess, religious countries out there where women can't do shit? I bet this is probably one of the reasons why. You had women who couldn't make logical decisions and said at one point, hey, let's just let everybody in our groups. And then shit started happening. Women started getting hurt. Then men, we need to protect our women, started coming up with really harsh rules. And now which happened to restrict your freedoms. Do we really want that? Because this is the logical path that this will lead to. If we as women do not fucking say no. And these men just have to understand and accept rejection, period. You're not a fucking woman. You'll never be a woman. And that's it. That's just that. Deal with it. If you can't expect every woman on this planet to kneel to you as a fucking gay, confused man. I don't think so. Or just it's asinine to ask of us, and it's selfish, and you want to talk about a narcissism on the fifth degree. That's it for you in a nutshell.
It's so incredibly uncomfortable that we're even having this conversation.
You could go back
about
over
that.
there if you.
You're a woman. You should if you're uncomfortable with having a debate or a discussion about whether or not you are a woman, then why are you sitting there having a discussion about whether or not men should be included in women's spaces? Get the fuck out of here. You're supposed to be a mature adult.
Really wanted to.
I'm uncomfortable. Therefore, we shouldn't have this conversation. And again, I can't believe this person really does not believe that a biological male who undergoes puberty, okay, in which, they increase bone density, they increase the length of their limbs, muscle mass, all of that, right? Things that are basically irreversible, okay? Characteristics that are irreversible. This person really believes that, they don't retain that after undergoing hormone treatments and surgery. When it's like, no, they definitely retain some of these biological.
And I will say this. If you want to bring down a society, go for the women. Indoctrinate the women. That's what you do.
Cool. Features for sure, 100%. Again, if you see most trans women that went through male puberty, you can kind of tell, right? You can tell that, hey, they're a little bit more manly than most women. Now, again, there's some exceptions. Like always, you got little Asian boys, right? They'll go through it, and you can't tell that there was a boy before, a male before, because they already, were kind of feminine. Okay, so there are exceptions, but for the most part, yeah, I think that boys that undergo male puberty do retain a lot of it even after going through transition.
Yeah. Ooh.
if we took all of that off the table, right? If we're not talking about who can play sports with whom, can people exist as who they are?
Yes, absolutely. But that doesn't mean they get special rights and privileges, right? You can exist. Nobody's denying a trans person's right to exist. I've never come up here and advocated for banning people from, cutting off their penis, right, or their breast, unless they're children. Obviously, I'm going to advocate for children not to be able to do that. But if a grown adult wants to do that, fine. But we should not try to restructure the rest of society to capitulate to a very small minority of people. They should have to capitulate to the majority. Okay? That's the argument. Just because you're not allowed to use the bathroom that doesn't match your sex or your genitalia doesn't mean that you don't have a right to exist. You definitely have a right to exist. You're existing. Nobody is, trying to take your life. Okay. Nobody's saying that you shouldn't exist. Nobody's saying that you should be burned at the stake. People are just simply saying you don't get special rights and privileges. And again, these people really do believe that if you don't want to give them special rights and privileges, therefore you're saying they don't have the right to exist. And this is how leftists argue, right? They'll use the most extreme thing possible in order to shut down debate. They'll accuse you of going to the extreme, right? Rather than actually participating in the real debate, which is that, okay, does it make sense for 80, 90, 95% of society to try to capitulate to less than 1%? It doesn't make sense. They don't want to engage in that debate.
Hi, I'm JT, and I made Result Hunter, the search engine for conservatives. Let me just tell you what it does. First of all,
Absolutely.
It sounded like you were saying if a trans woman doesn't look like what you perceive as looking like.
It has nothing to do with looks. It has everything to do with biology. These dumb fucks. Like, what is up with this Dahmer, Jeffrey Dahmer looking glasses, green, ugly fucking mohawk looking, what is up with these type of people? And I swear to God, they all look the same. They all fucking look the same. And I can't believe this. At one point, I looked like that too. But I didn't think like that. I thought a lot of people who were just, colored hair, fuck you, all this other stuff, they just wanted to walk to the beat of their own drum, make their own wave, right? But now you got these colored hair, crazy people who want everyone to do everything for them. Everyone needs to bow to the knee to them. And it's like, no, bitch, that's not how it was when we were growing up. The reason why we got all colorful and showed our expression is because no one would do what we wanted. So we said, fuck it. We're going to do what we want and go out here and make something happen. These fuckers think that everyone should just capitulate and bow down to. Look at you. But you're supposed to be considered sane, right? Then you open up your mouth and then you say some dumb shit like this. And yeah, they're probably thinking the same thing as I am. But I'm like, look, it's only people who look like you that spit this bullshit out that doesn't have any logic at all. There is a difference between men and women. No one is saying that transgenders can exist. We want them to exist. We also want them to acknowledge that there's a difference between men and women. And if we want opportunities to be made for them in other areas like sports and stuff where it's not conventional to have that, then maybe we need to make them more conventional so they can have those opportunities. But that doesn't mean that, hey, we're going to, since that opportunity is not there for you, it doesn't mean that we're going to just have you go into these other groups and take their opportunities, because that's not okay. That's not fair. Let's make you opportunities. And they don't want to even discuss that. They don't want to talk about that. And that is what's causing so much trouble in society. Let everybody get an equal shot. But hey, if it ain't their way, then it's the highway. There's no compromise. Those people.
Like a woman, they shouldn't be in feminist spaces.
I didn't say that. I said they shouldn't be in female spaces.
Okay.
Not feminist spaces.
Okay.
I think women...
I disagree with that, but
that's
okay.
fine. It makes sense to biologically classify people. It also makes sense to socially classify people. Let's say my friend Blair White was sitting right here. That's my buddy. I love her. She's sitting right here. Do I think she lives her life as a man? No. Like we were talking about men making decisions for women as far as abortions are concerned. That's something she'll never experience.
There are women who biologically cannot produce. There are females, people.
You know, I hate it when people bring up that fucking, excuse thing that there are women out here who can't reproduce and all this. Hey, motherfuckers, guess what? At one time in their life, all women will stop being able to reproduce. It's called menopause. It's called fucking menopause. So stop it with your stop it. Stop it. Like, seriously. That is like the weakest argument you can actually. So what? A woman can't produce when she's in her 20s? Well, guess what? The woman that can reproduce in their 20s, when they're in their 50s, I promise you they won't be able to reproduce. If they do, it's a very small group of women who can. All right? So it's like I really hate that argument when women bring it in as a way to say that if those women who can't have children, who are barren, then they are not female. So is it the same thing? If we can say that about transgender, since they can't bear children, should we also say the same thing about women who can't bear children? Stop it. Stop it. Because like I said, at one point in every woman's life, they will not be able to bear children.
Assigned female at birth who
Yes.
biologically cannot produce. Are you saying that those female women should not be able to have say in those laws?
That's
either?
not what I'm saying at all. I guess my main issue with trans women being seen as women and not being seen as trans women is they're changing the definition of women and expecting everybody to go along with that. And that affects me, yes they are, and that affects me directly. You say trans women are women are trans women. It's a very different experience.
Trans women are women.
We're just gonna agree to disagree with that. If you ask feminists at a women's march what a woman is, they can't even define it. How can you protect something and empower something?
And that's the thing. I 100% agree with her, and then I'm going to call this a quit. If you cannot define what something is, how can you sit there and defend it? How can you sit there and defend it with your logic? How can you be even willing to die for something you can't even define? It doesn't make sense. And that's why those who, like her, that are very adamant about this, we will say, if you ask us what a woman is, we're not going to give you some word salad. We'll tell you exactly what it is. While these other individuals, they don't know what it is, they can't define it. They just go into a word salad. Because of that, well, you're wrong. No. Anyone who has conviction knows what it is that they're fighting for, and they will give you a clear definition of what that is. So, I really hope women wake up to this and start standing up for yourself. Because I'm pretty sure those women's suffrage, if they were still alive, would probably look at us like, what the fuck have we done? And their whole entire thing was to advance women rights and women freedom, not men who were even going through transition, because those people did exist back then. But there was no one from that. There was no transgender man out there or transgender woman out there that was brave enough to start transgender suffrage. Okay, there wasn't. There was a woman who started that, and she should be given credit for it. And she has, and that shouldn't be tarnished. Women's rights, women's movements, women's suffrage was to advance women, biological women, not men, not gay men, not transgender women. Period. And it needs to be honored, and it needs to be kept that way. But, hey, I guess I'm old school.